Hi, I'm Koolik. Welcome to another episode of Real Estate Today. On previous shows, we've talked about mortgages and issues with mold and how to inspect for mold. We've talked about home automation and home theaters and how to automate your home. Today's show is going to be really exciting. We're talking about building and remodeling, and we're fortunate enough to have Gary Schlossberg, whose family has been in the industry for almost over 30 years. He's with National Home Building and Remodeling. So why don't we go talk to Gary and see what he has to say. Gary, I'm very excited for you to be on the show today. So why don't we go inside and we'll talk about remodeling and get Gary's insight into what's going on in the industry. Sure. Gary, let's do it. Gary, we've known each other for a long time. We've both been in the real estate business for quite a while. Tell everybody at home, how you got started in the business and what you love about remodeling.
Well, much like you, Elliot, I come from a family business.
Right.
I'm second generation. My father and our family came down from Connecticut back in 1975, so we're approaching 30 years of building and remodeling. We've actually built over 2,000 homes in Boca Raton, and we've been remodeling for the last 14 or 15 years.
Yeah, it seems like everyone uses the word remodeling very loosely. I'm seeing a very strong trend into remodeling versus completely building a brand new house, and we're
Right.
certainly starting to see a lot of knockdowns as the age of some of the neighborhoods get older.
Sure.
Where's the fine line between when you should really remodel and when you should maybe knock it down, or maybe shouldn't even add on at all? I mean, when?
Well, I think most of our clients are leaning towards remodeling as opposed to knocking down, unless they are going to be doing so much work in their home that there's almost no salvageable part that that they care to save or keep for themselves.
I mean, is it true that, I always hear this, that if you take the roof off, you might as well knock down the house. Is that true?
No, actually not true at all.
Okay.
For example, in a second-story addition, which I'll be showing you shortly, we took part of the roof off to go up. So it really depends upon what their needs are. And I mean, room count is so important to people, and I know you see that in resales. So. And new sales for that matter. So it really depends upon what they want to do and if they have the room to do it.
Now, is there a certain type of remodeling that you like to participate in more than other types? And some projects tend to be a little smaller or a little larger.
Right.
Or actually, maybe I think the better question is, what type of additions or remodeling typically make the most sense?
Well, that's a great question. I hear that all the time. People want to know what's going to give them the biggest bang for the buck and resale value. Really, room count, like I said before, room count
Right.
is so important because that's what sells, air-conditioned square footage. So in other words, if you wanted me to remodel your bathroom, you may have the right to quiet enjoyment, so to speak. You may
Right.
enjoy it very much and really enjoy that part of your home. Will it bring you higher dollars on resale? Not necessarily. If I add 1,400 square feet to your home, more bedrooms, more bathrooms, a media room, a game room, that's something that's going
Right.
to.
Yeah, I always say that. Especially if you go up on a house, it usually makes sense once you're up there to max it out. Does that?
I would agree.
Yeah.
When you are doing a remodeling or an addition to a home, you definitely want to take it out to a point, as you said, maxing out your space, because one thing is for sure.
Yeah.
The chances of you going in 3 years later or 2 years later or 5 years later and adding 3 more square feet or 4 more square feet
Right.
is highly unlikely.
Now, what would you say is the biggest misconception about remodeling?
That's difficult to answer. I mean, I would say the cost, because many of my clients have a dollar per square foot number in their head.
Well, you always hear, $100 a square foot. That's the magic number.
You do.
Which I wish it was true.
So do I.
And I think I'll tell you what I think that one of the biggest misconceptions are. Most people don't realize that if you're doing a second-story addition, and correct me if I'm wrong, you're affecting the space below it. So if you're adding on 1,400 square feet, sometimes you're really affecting 2,800 square feet.
You
correct?
could be affecting that many square feet.
I mean, you're definitely affecting the ceiling.
Without a doubt.
You know, below the new floor that you're putting up there.
Yes.
So,
yes.
Do you find that that's something that people maybe don't really,
Well, I mean,
understand?
we're very upfront with our clients.
Right.
When I meet a client for the first time and they tell me what they want to do, or they show me a set of plans, or they have something in mind of how they want to improve their home, I always tell them what it's to be expected, what possible consequences, or I shouldn't really say consequences because it's not necessarily a bad thing, but I don't want any surprises. So,
right.
as you just said, in a second story addition, you are definitely going to affect what's underneath it.
Right. Now, do you feel that sometimes, I mean, the market's been pretty strong lately, and do you find that a lot of the subs, I mean, you as the general contractor are almost at the mercy of the subs? Because, I mean, I'm actually trying to do a project with my brother right now.
Right.
He's trying to bid it out, and you can't even get the guys to come out. I mean,
We
some of them are bidding it, but you're waiting and waiting and waiting.
We are in a unique time. I don't know how long it'll last.
I think some of them are charging more just because.
I kid because I say,
Yeah.
even the bad contractors are busy right now. And it's true. I mean, everybody is so busy. Are we at the mercy? Well, I wouldn't say National Home Building is at the mercy because, we have a very, very strong relationship because of our longevity.
Right.
So it's kind of a,
So
it's kind of a nice
know
thing.
what's going to kind of happen as far as
They
timing.
respond to us a lot faster than they might to some other contractor who hasn't been around as long or given them the kind of volume that we've given them. So.
Right, okay. That makes sense.
So.
Have you added on to your house?
Actually, I have.
How was that?
Miserable.
Was it?
No, I mean, it wasn't really miserable. It actually gave me an opportunity to really understand how my clients feel. I mean, look, when I remodel your home, I mean, I become part of your family.
Right.
You see me all the time. I know your kids' names. I'm involved in your home.
Right.
I'm going to be there for, depending upon the size of the job, 2 months, 4 months, a year. It depends upon what we're doing. And we really have to work together as a team. So it's always a challenging situation for both parties.
Well, so kind of this is segueing into the next question, which would be, how does somebody arrive at picking the right contractor? Like, what tips would you give everybody at home to say, hey, these are the things you should be looking at to make the right decision?
Well, unfortunately, South Florida does not have the best reputation for contractors, and it's kind of like.
Why is that?
Because a lot of contractors in the past have taken deposits and not shown up. They have put liens on houses. They have done things that are deemed to be unscrupulous. So therefore, the first thing I'm going to say is you want to make sure. If I was a lay person, so to speak, I would want to make sure the person has experience, longevity. I would check the references. The things that most commonly I think
you would ask in any
almost
interviewing
ask
anyone.
That's right. I mean, you really have to know. Obviously, a recommendation from a friend is probably going to be the best way to pick a contractor.
Okay. Well, I think enough of the talk. I think what everyone would really appreciate at home is let's go out to one of your job sites. Let's take a look at I think you're doing a second story addition in the neighborhood.
We are. It's actually a good time to do this little segment because the addition that we're doing, second story addition, is at a stage where I think all of you at home can really appreciate where we're coming from.
Okay, that sounds great. All right, well, everyone at home, we'll be right back with Real Estate Today in a few minutes.